lot of you guys may have found my channel because of my first take videos, as a lot of those videos really were probably the best videos on my channel, and I definitely want to do another one here. This one seems to be a good video, a lighthearted video, and one that I really want to share with you guys, so let's get right into it. Today on ESPN's First Take, Stephen A. and Max Kellerman talk about the game last night with the Giants against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and really what went on. The video was more so about Daniel Jones and Max Kellerman saying Daniel Jones blew it, and so it kind of piqued my interest and I wanted to see what Max Kellerman had to say, but I wound up not really caring what Max had to say. It's what Stephen A. said after what Max said, and it's not even in the video's title, but this would interest you guys, so take a look.
But I got to tell you something. I think Joe Judge is doing a hell of a job. They got the 11th ranked defense, 11th rank against the pass. They're 4th against the rush. They play hard all the time. They're in far more games than we ever anticipated. And more importantly, unlike Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys, Joe Judge and the New York Giants are playing better football every single week. I was not high on this hire at all. I know he had a resume, but it wasn't that of a coordinator or what have you. But I got to tell you something. I'm watching these New York Giants play. This guy, Joe Judge, as a coach, he's got potential. They improve every single week, and they play hard every single week. There's no giving up in the New York Giants. They got to get their quarterback situation straight. There's no question about that. But the job that this guy, Joe Judge, is doing, the record is not indicative of the job that man is doing as head coach of the New York Giants. Well, I got to give props where props is due. I'm impressed by this guy.
I really loved what Stephen A. said there, and, you know, he kind of went off of Daniel Jones a little bit and said how much of a job that Joe Judge is doing with the New York Giants, and this is something that I thought only Giants fans really saw. You see the NFL memes, right? You see all the memes about the Giants, and they're funny. Obviously, I condone it, right? I don't you know, hate it in any sort of way. I also feed into it as well, the Giants memes and things like that. But I mean, to be honest and truthful, I mean, Joe Judge is doing a hell of a job with this New York Giants team. And Colin Cowherd said it. We may play a clip from Colin Cowherd if we have time, and if I could fit it in there, you know, in this video. But you know, Colin Cowherd said like they're the new Miami Dolphins. I was thinking the same exact thing. The Giants are the new Miami Dolphins. They come out, except I think the Giants are on better track than the Miami Dolphins did. They came out week 1, week 2, week 3 getting blown out by like the Patriots and the Ravens. Granted, great teams, but we faced some good teams as well, and we've held out pretty close against them. The Giants defense are on track. They're doing exceptionally well. You know, Stephen A. mentioned it. You know, we're like the 11th ranked defense in the NFL right now. Pretty good against the pass, pretty decent against the run. They're playing hard for Joe Judge. You know, we've been through Pat Shurmur, we've been through Ben McAdoo, and we've seen that these guys have quit on these coaches before, but it seems like these guys want to run through a wall for Joe Judge. And granted, you know, you look at his press conferences, you look at how he coaches, how he holds himself with his players, and, you know, for good reason they want to run through a wall for Joe Judge. They play hard for Joe Judge. You look at this roster for the New York Giants, it's not good. All right, if you look at this team on paper, we should have got blown out in the majority of games that we have been playing. And we've only got blown out in 2 of them. And so I honestly feel like the Giants have a really good future ahead of them, and you know, Stephen A. spoke to that a little bit. They're staying close in games, and they are improving every single week. I want to encourage everybody not to give up on the New York Giants just yet. Not saying this year they're not going to do anything, but next year and the future, I'm still very, very confident in the future. I've never backed away from that, although I made a couple of pessimistic videos against the Giants in the past couple of days. I never said anything about their future. I still love their future. I still love Joe Judge. I think he is the guy. I think 20 years from now, when we think about the New York Giants, Joe Judge is going to be one of the main guys we think about. I honestly think he's going to be a head coach for the New York Giants for such a long time. He's going to mean he's gonna mean something to this franchise, like a Bill Parcells, like a Tom Coughlin, like a Bill Belichick himself for the New York Giants as a defensive coordinator. I think he's gonna be on that sort of coaching, Mount Rushmore. That may be far-fetched to say. That may be a little too soon to say, but I honestly believe in Joe Judge that much. We take a look at a couple of stats here. Just in the past couple of games in this year, the Giants have lost a total of 4 games this year by a 4-point total or less, a 4-point differential or less. You look at week 2 against the Bears, that was 4 points. Week 5 against the Cowboys, 3 points. Week 7 against the Eagles, 1 point. And week 8 against the Bucks, 2 points. And if you look at the majority of these games, every game besides the Chicago Bears, so 3 out of the 4, you're looking at the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Buccaneers, we had a fourth quarter lead, and the opposing team had to come back and score points against us late in the fourth quarter. We could have came out with wins against all of those teams. Now, I'm not playing hypotheticals anymore. I'm not going to sit here and say we should have this win total, we should be this far in the division, we should be division leaders. I'm not playing hypotheticals anymore. A loss is a loss. I've been playing hypotheticals since 2013, not doing it anymore. Okay, I'm sick and tired of doing that. The what if side of things is just become very sickening to me. But on top of that, you look at 2 more games this season where we lost by a total of 10 points or less, so just 2 possessions, and that is week 1 against the Steelers, which was 10 points, and week 4 against the Rams, which was 8 points. So the Giants have kept it extremely close in this season so far, a lot better than we thought, right? How many of us had this team, 3 wins, 4 wins? I mean, I said 7 wins. I was clearly wrong on that, but the majority of what people were saying, besides the guys that were overreacting to, the hires and the drafted players, a lot of people thought we were going to go 11-5 or something. But the majority of what I've seen said 4 or 5 wins. Now that we actually see that manifesting, we start to panic. But we are going to be a good 4 or 5 win team. It's sad to say, it's hard to say, but we are going to be a good 4 or 5 win team. What Stephen A. Smith said before, they're 1-7, but it's not even close to indicative, right? The big words he used, it's not even indicative of what Joe Judge is doing with that franchise, and I'm extremely confident in them. Stephen A. Smith was one that hated the hire. He wanted Eric Bieniemy or someone, a person of color, to gain that role there, and they later talk about how Louis Riddick should have won the GM job over there. But regardless of the fact, Joe Judge is doing a phenomenal job. He's beating out expectations like I thought he would, but Daniel Jones seems to be holding this team back, and when you have your quarterback holding your team back, it may be time to let them go. I'm not jumping off yet. I'm waiting to see what happens at the end of week 17, and when draft time starts to roll around, then we can start to weigh out our options. But, let's see what Daniel Jones has to do. But I love what Joe Judge is doing. Keep doing what you're doing, Joe Judge. We are fully supporting you. We hope you don't have a sophomore slump like everybody else does, like Daniel Jones is having right now. But it seems like these guys are really rooting for Joe Judge. We can get into a little bit of what Colin Cowherd said. Is that the only problem I have with Colin Cowherd and anything Fox? I love Fox, sports shows, but they copyright a lot of things, so I won't be able to show too much about what is being said. But let's try it.
Now the good news. That was the best loss for the New York Giants in years. You're getting better every week. It looks like you have a coach who the players like and respond to. And Daniel Jones makes too many mistakes, but I'm about 80% sure you got a quarterback good enough to eventually win this division. This is a great loss. What you really are, you're the Miami Dolphins of last year. They started the year 0-7. Joy and I kept saying, they're a really good 0-7. Said this last year with Brian Flores of the Dolphins, and I'll say it with Joe Judge. I think you got a coach. I think he works. I think the team responds to him. I think they play hard. When I watch the New York Giants play, mistakes beat them.
So Colin Cowherd comes out and said that this was a good loss for the New York Giants, and I tend to agree with him, but my heart doesn't say that just because it was such a heartbreaking loss. But I do agree with him. You know, I never thought, right, when watching this game, I never thought we would be in a 2-point game with the Buccaneers at the end of the game, and we were the one that choked a fourth quarter lead. I wouldn't have thought that whatsoever. So I love the fact that Colin Cowherd said that, and it really opened my eyes just a bit that, you know, maybe this was a good loss and this was actually progress. This was growth. This is a Tampa Bay team that's probably going to make it far in the playoffs this year. Tom Brady is playing exceptional football. That Tampa Bay team is probably, you know, comeback team of the year. This is a team that just came out of nowhere and really started, you know, progressing. So, I mean, this could be a good loss. And, you know, he said a lot of things about Joe Judge as well. You know, he loves Joe Judge. He's for sure Joe Judge is the guy for New York. And it's amazing how media analysts and the fans and random people are now jumping on the Joe Judge train when he was hired. You know, Giants fans included, we were all like, who is this guy? He shouldn't even have the job. But it's great to see that a lot of people are supporting Joe Judge, and we'll see what happens with Daniel Jones. But he even says he's 80% sure about Daniel Jones. That means he's actually liking Daniel Jones. You know, we'll see what happens. I'm you know, reserving my thoughts. But, you know, you know, Colin Cowherd is not giving up on Joe Judge, and neither is Keyshawn Johnson, but we all know how Keyshawn Johnson feels about young quarterbacks. He said the same thing about Sam Darnold. That being said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you guys are new, and let me know your thoughts about, you know, about what Stephen A. and Colin Cowherd said. Very interesting to see, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Woo!